So, what's more important than reconnecting with your unconscious mind? Nothing, for me anyway. I think it should be taught in schools alongside English, maths and the hard sciences, all the proper subjects. For me, learning to reconnect with your higher self is one of the most important missions in life. We all go through those psychological stages of growth. From when we're younger, just being concerned with ourselves, as we get a bit older, taking in the wider community and trying to understand our place in the world. And as we get older, many of us seek to reconnect with our higher selves, but many of us never do. And I think most humans intrinsically know that there are processes that are occurring that they're not fully aware of or don't fully understand, despite what the media would have you believe, that old sex, money, power narrative that's spat out on a daily basis, the fear-based news, denial from our institutions, both medical and scientific, leave many of us lost. One month you'll read that something is good for you, then the next month there'll be a study produced that shows it causes cancer. And no wonder people are confused. And I think in the Western world, at least, there seems to be a drive not only to ignore one's higher self, but there actually seems to be a drive to destroy it. And you see this in behaviour like binge drinking, violent crime, bulimia, anorexia, drug abuse. And many people are searching, and I believe what they're searching for is to reconnect with their unconscious mind. And as long as they continue to ignore this, they'll continue to suffer in this way. They'll continue to harm themselves. The late, great Terence McKenna used to say, culture is not your friend. And I always used to wonder what he meant by this until I became conscious myself and had an awakening. And when you operate from a place of knowing, culture can't confuse you. Those bright lights can't distract you. Well, the reason we don't all know about it is because it's been removed from our history hundreds of years ago. All those books were burned. All the people that held those beliefs were exterminated. What is it? Well, the unconscious mind is a completely different entity. It's not good or bad. What's actually good or bad are the programs that attach themselves to the unconscious mind. These can limit us and cause us to carry out all those incongruencies in our lives. This is why we have wars. This is why we poison the planet, and we actively seek and find new ways to destroy our own lives or relationships. Your conscious mind knows that smoking cigarettes is bad for you, but still many people persist with this behaviour. If I was to ask any CEO of any big business if they wanted the rainforest to be gone or the ozone layer to be destroyed, not one single one would say yes. I mean, at least I hope they wouldn't. Yet this is happening at a frightening rate. And this is the effect of these programs that have attached themselves to our unconscious mind. And you can see it reflected in our culture. You can see it reflected in the world that we've created. This psychopathic drive to destroy and consume just because of the decimal point. And I feel by bringing us back into alignment, we'll begin to see the world change. We'll get the leaders that we want. We'll be comfortable in our own skin. We won't have to keep looking for that external fix all the time. Things will be built because they need to be built. We won't have to worry about them not being built because there's no money. All businesses will become sustainable. No one will be homeless, no one will starve. I know it sounds idealistic, but it's a pretty good trade-off, I think. It's our birthright. Many of the ancient teachings like the Dead Sea Scrolls or the Nag Hammadi texts, they all refer to this. Many indigenous tribes in the world today have been saying the same thing for thousands of years that quantum physicists are now saying. Human thought affects matter. The very fabric of the universe at the Planck scale responds to human interaction, responds to the observer. I mean, how incredible is that? In terms of just processing power, to give you some idea of how powerful this thing is, this unconscious mind, in terms of processing power, it's millions of times more powerful than the conscious mind. That's millions. I mean, just imagine your iPad being millions of times more powerful than it is now. Exactly. Neuroscientists have shown that your conscious mind provides around 5% or less of cognitive conscious activity throughout the day, like when you're just walking around doing stuff. But many people operate at just 1% consciousness. Now, the unconscious mind, and any of you that know the NLP practitioner or know the communication model, will know that the conscious mind processes 2,000 bits of data per second. The unconscious mind processes 40 million bits of data per second. Million bits of data per second. It records everything, and I mean everything. Everything you've ever done, everything you've ever thought, everything you've ever said, everything you've ever heard, everything you've ever seen, everything you've ever felt. And it can represent this to you at any given moment in the form of memories for you to deal with. Your unconscious mind will give you the right amount of chemicals in the form of DMT, so you can hallucinate your life here on this three-dimensional plane. It runs your body when you're awake and when you're sleeping. I mean, just imagine having to send all of the blood cells around your body, or to regulate your own breathing, or to heal yourself. You just couldn't cope. Your unconscious mind will actually bend the laws of time, at least your perception of the laws of time, in order to give you a fighting chance in an accident, you know, by flushing your body full of adrenaline. Because it's a genie, and a genie is all powerful, but it needs to be asked. And the trouble is we're not communicating with it in the right way. We're not asking it the right questions. We're not giving it clear instructions to follow. The best piece of advice I can give to anyone new to this sort of thing is to give it clear instructions. Always say what you want, not what you don't want. The unconscious mind doesn't process negatives. So when you say, I don't want to argue, it drops the don't and it hears, I want to argue. Take 15 minutes of your day to have some quiet time, sit in the morning, sit down in a quiet room and think about what you want out of the day. Have an outcome. You'd be surprised at how quickly it can manifest. Meditation is perfect. You don't have to meditate. It's better if you can. But if you can't, just, as I said, 15 minutes of the day to do some deep inner work on yourself. And I know I can hear people saying now, oh, I'm far too busy in the morning. I've got kids rushing around and blah, 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 blah. I couldn't possibly do that. I've got a demanding job. And by then I've just switched off because I've zoned out. And it's cause and effect, reasons and excuses. It's because of the recession, or it's because of my children, or it's because of this, or it's because of that. And it's so sad when I see people doing this. They're just handing their power away. Take back your power. It is yours. It's your birthright. It is your power. No one can take your power away from you. You have to give it away. And many people do every day. They just hand their power away. Just understand that you are at the cause of everything in your sphere of influence. If you don't want to give 1%, 15 minutes, what's that, 1%? If you don't want to give 1% of your day to start to make your dreams come true and build a better life for yourself and do some inner work on yourself, then I'm afraid I can't help you, buddy. It's like complaining that you're overweight but never going to the gym. Well, think of it this way. This is your training to reconnect with your higher self, your unconscious mind. This is your training. You train, you get results. It's simple.